a lot of developers these days are adding new features to make it a lot easier, which is great. I love this. Especially for TI4, Valve has implemented this noob stream. It's actually called the noob stream.
It's so good.
It's really, really good.
And it's great. So you seem to have watched it. Why don't you break it down?
Yeah, so there are a couple different casters. There's Purge, who's actually, I think, probably one of the best, like, I call him the dad of Dota.
Dota dad.
Because
That's really appropriate, actually.
That's super good.
Because one, he has a very soothing voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Purge.
Oh my God, that's uncanny.
That's really good.
And he's very good at the game. He's on Team Zephyr. Is that correct?
He's now on a pro team. He wasn't as of like even a year ago. I don't think he was on a pro team.
They're not in TI. I think they got knocked out in the qualifiers.
But still very knowledgeable about Dota.
Dude knows what he's doing. If you haven't read his guide, Welcome to Dota, You Suck, read that. It's I mean, it sounds hostile and antagonistic, but it's not. It's the most helpful written piece of content about Dota ever made.
And so the stream is basically them casting the game, but doing it as like explaining like, hey, this is why you would pick this carry.
Yeah.
Right, with this support, and it's like
this is why that moment was important. This is why he activated that item.
Yes, and like again, they still get excited. Like for the first couple of games, there was that creep deny.
The faceless void creep deny was really good.
Yeah, where so that the faceless ran into a jungle creep so he could deny himself for the other team, and they were freaking out. But then they step back and they're like, oh wait, let's explain why.
Let's talk about why that was such a great moment.
Right.
And this was like First Blood too, so it had additional context, and they gave that they just slowed down the cast. Like you have people like AC and everything who can get so hype and get into like the moment to moment breakdowns, but they try to like stay back and slow down and be like, okay, this is what's happening.
It's fun listening to like a Toby cast and then immediately switching over to the noob cast. It's like they are just speaking different languages at different speeds. It's great.
Toby's screaming like, he'll say like the names of the moves and he'll just like rattle off like who's doing what, and like we know what that means. But like I was watching a match on the noob stream, and like Batrider throws out this like flaming thing that can like blast people away in a little radius.
It's basically a grenade.
Yeah, it's basically
like
a
AoE grenade.
And it can stop someone from teleporting. And they just said that. Like they said like, oh, he threw out flame break because it canceled the teleport and it let his team catch up to kill him. And like it's just like good contextual things like that.
Yeah, like I know why that move is awesome. Like already, but I love watching the noob stream because it just adds this extra context that like I like that, and it's it definitely, they break it down. They don't talk down to the viewers, which I can really appreciate. They are just like, okay, we're teaching you, but we're not going to be like, oh, well, you guys are noobs and don't know anything about Dota, so we're going to tell you and you should already know this. No, they're like really nice about everything, it seems like.
Yeah.
The match that I got to see was Purge and Suns Fan. I found that they have both, they're great casters. They have really soothing voices. They
just, like,
really
there's no
complement
pressure.
each other. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm super on board with the noob stream.
Me
I
too.
think it was a great idea from Valve. If you don't know Dota, it's an awesome way to watch the international. I'm not sure if they're going to do all of the event on the noob stream. It seemed like the games that were happening today weren't, but I imagine that all of the finals will be on both.
Yeah, it's a great way to relate that high level pro play, which is, even for us, like we know Dota pretty well and we feel like we're kind of okay sometimes. But the stuff that pro players are doing is like even still like next level for us, where we look at stuff and it's like, whoa, I never would have even thought to do that. So even watching the noob stream, I'm learning stuff.
Yeah.
I'm learning stuff about skills that I don't really use for heroes I don't really play, which is awesome. It's like that helps me understand what I'm up against next time I join a game against Batrider.
Yeah, I love it. And then, so Valve is doing a great job at that. And then Riot, recently they announced that they're going to be introducing new, better onboarding intro bots. So they said in this very long blog post that they kind of detailed their new intro bot, saying that people who tried the League of Legends tutorial were losing at the tutorial mode. Like, it was so hard. It was so much information overload that they just weren't getting it down. They kept running into towers and stuff like that. So League of Legends is introducing a new beginner tutorial mode, and with the core principles to make learning fun, to provide achievable and meaningful goals, to offer well-paced information, to reinforce through play, and deliver an appropriate challenge. So rather than just sort of letting players off into the, onto Summoner's Rift without, any knowledge of how to play, this would be like, this is how you move your character. This is how you attack. Really basic beginner stuff. But I think that's important, and I'm glad that they're doing this because MOBAs, we were talking about this earlier, but it's a really tall mountain to climb to learn any MOBA. It doesn't matter, which one you're getting into. So to have those first baby steps be really easy and really give you, the help that you need when you're first starting out any MOBA is great. And I love that, both of these big companies seem to at least start understanding that.
Yeah, for the longest time, the MOBAs, or Dota 1 was impenetrable. Yeah. Because people were so set in their ways, and there wasn't matchmaking or anything, so you couldn't rank against your MMR, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And so actually they realized people are coming in and they're making bad habits. I think bad habits is one of the main walls that people put up, because they're gonna be well, I want to play the game like this. Yeah. When you're no, don't go towards the tower. Don't go towards the tower.
The Dota tutorial is really bad for that because it teaches you to auto attack. Yeah. That's it never tells you you need last hits, but it never tells you stop attacking. Mm-hmm.
And so that's another thing that that Riot brought up in this blog post. They were saying this is not a last hit tutorial. Yeah. We're not doing that. This isn't about wards. This isn't about any of that stuff. Yes, that stuff is important for new players to learn, but we don't want you to learn that stuff yet. We want you to know how to move and how to get back to the shop and how to actually look at the shop and stuff like that.
I was just thinking about this today because there's someone in office who wants to play Dota with us this week, and I was like, okay, which hero should I get him on for good lane synergy? And I'm like, wait, what if I just need to teach this person to click to move?
Yeah, and that's
or
the thing.
Left click to it,
yeah, they don't know.
Press S to stop doing what you're doing.
Just that is foreign unless you've played other MOBAs before.
Yeah. Right, and a lot of people haven't, and they're getting into MOBAs because there's $10.5 million prize pool for a tournament that's happening, and that's exciting to people who...
We're getting college scholarships.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. So I really think that this is a good initiative by the two big guys. Yeah. And I think that other sort of devs will follow suit, will have better tutorial modes or implement new ways with new MOBAs coming out.
Yep. Fates Forever, the iPad MOBA that came out this week, has a really amazing tutorial that you have to play. It goes through it step by step. Listen, tap here to move this character. Mm-hmm. This is why you're going to move this character here. It breaks down the fundamentals, and it's segmented similar to Hearthstone, where it's this is this section, you have to finish it to proceed to the next one.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm does that as well.
Yeah, and it does a really good job of saying, listen, stop attacking if you're not going to get the last hit, and, this is the threat of the tower, so back off when it starts attacking you because it will wreck you.
Yeah.
Does a really good job of hitting all the basic points that you would want to know.
I also really appreciate that a lot of MOBAs seem to be combating this density problem by just making their game mechanics easier.
Yeah.
But Valve and Riot are okay, this is hard, but let's try to roll this out in a way that's slower.
Right, because they're hardcore games. They don't want to be seen as casual games like Heroes of the Storm is hoping to be.
I just like that they're not throwing their hands up and just kind of you want to
figure it out.
Riot's doing some really cool stuff right now in terms of we've talked about before. They're just revamping literally everything about their game, which is really, really impressive. They put out the PBE for the new client, which has a ton of feedback, which used to be built on Adobe Air, which was not great, and now it's part of their own code in HTML5. And so they're doing stuff where they're actually listening and being oh, we can't have this antiquated interface anymore. We need to kind of update it to make it a little more streamlined, and they understand that.
Yeah.
Which I think is really impressive.
It's good. It's nice that they listen to their players. That's one of their main missions is to be really put the player experience first. And players have been complaining about the client for a very long time. So it's nice that they finally have said, yes, we listen. We are working on it. Here's a preliminary thing. I think that they've been working on the new client for a really long time, and they just didn't want to unveil it until it's closer to what they actually want it to be, because people are going to be leaving so much feedback because it's been the #1 requested thing.
Yeah. It looks super similar, but I think it looks.
It's probably going to run better.
Hopefully. God, it can't run much worse than the current one.
It cannot possibly.
But I mean, it's all seems to be centered around the new Summoner's Rift update, which looks beautiful. We've talked about that on the show before, so you can catch a trailer of that on IGN Arena, youtube.com/IGN Arena. But yeah, I mean, it seems like we all are on board with more helpful things so that we can get more people playing.
Yeah,
these
anything
games.
that makes it easier for my friends to join me to play Dota or League or whatever, like I'm on board.
Mm-hmm.